Good day, folks. It's DIY Guy 123 here. Today I'm going to be talking to you about fixing an oven door that won't shut. When you shut your door and it stays open, maybe half an inch or 3/4 of an inch, it just doesn't snap shut tight. Well, that's something you want to address because that means there's air leakage around the whole perimeter of the door, and you're going to have a really hard time keeping the thing up to temperature. And so, that's one thing, probably hard to regulate the temperature. Second thing is waste of energy, especially in the summer months. If you're not trying to heat your house, that's just a terrible waste of energy. So there are really only a couple of reasons why your door won't shut. One is there's something wrong with this little light switch that's causing that to not go in. Maybe it got dirty and won't go in. Highly unlikely. Second thing is the seal that's around the door itself might not be, stuck to the door properly. It might be interfering. If you dropped your corn cob down here and it's, won't go up because there's some type of interference. But really, it's probably likely that you've got a hinge problem. Now, the hinges in these doors have heavy springs, and in this style of door, they're I think all doors maybe, but in this style at least, the springs are inside the door. You could have a broken spring on one side, and that might be evidenced by one side pulling in and the other side not pulling in all the way. Or there could be weak springs. But before you go into changing those springs, I'd encourage you to look at this part of the hinge here. It's the kind of the hinge receiver, I might call it, and it's inside behind this cavity. Now, here's the picture of a good one, and it's got a wheel. I'll show you the back side. It's got a wheel that rolls, and what happens is the door has like a cam on it, and it goes in like this. When you close the door, it goes in like this, and then springs up into place behind that wheel and holds the door shut. So here's the design of that cam I talked about right here. And this is where that wheel sits. It sits right there, and that holds the door in place. Now, my assumption is the plastic wheel wore, and this did not. When I put my new metal hinges in there, metal wheel, it should work fine again. Well, these ones look okay. There's a groove down the center, and that's supposed to be there to keep this this little lever that has the cam on it centered on the pulley. But here's one that's not okay, and hopefully you can see that the bottom of that wheel is worn right out. Now, this is a plastic pulley compared to the metal ones. I don't know the replacement ones I bought, used actually, but anyway, they're metal. So obviously somebody decided it was a good idea to switch to metal, or maybe the metal ones are older and they lasted longer, and that's why they're still working or available in the used shop where I bought them. But anyway, the plastic one worked, I'm sure, for a while until the wheel seized. Now, the wheel seized for who knows why. Maybe some soup drip down there, overheated, melted, I have no idea. But anyway, it stopped rolling, and when it stopped rolling, it still worked for a while, but that lever wore a flat spot in the bottom of the wheel. So the problem with that is now the cam that has to lock in place behind, not lock, but like snap in place behind that wheel, doesn't have as much resistance to sliding under the wheel because the wheel's not as big of a diameter where it's worn. So to fix that, you've got to get behind here. How do you do that? Well, obviously get the door out and put it aside. It's heavy, so be careful with it. To take the door out, you open it all the way and you flip this lever over like that on both sides. See if I can get it here. Flip the lever like that on both sides. Sometimes you have to push down on the door to get those levers to go in place. And then to remove the door, it's heavy, you may want a second person. You're going to grip it like this, lift it up, and lift it. There. To get the top off on this model, there were 2 screws right, the edges, here and here. There were 2 screws that held the top up. So put the top up in the air and put a Kleenex box, full Kleenex box or something to hold that up out of the way. And then there's a screw here on the inside near the front. And then there are 2 screws on the back here. So what you do to get this door out is after those 3 screws are out, you swing this corner out and forward. And when you do that, the whole panel will move to the side. When you do that, you can get your hand in behind here. Now be careful because it's a sheet metal product, so it could be sharp. You get your hand in behind to hold the back of that hinge so it doesn't fall. And then you take these screws out. That is just a plate that comes off. So you take that away, and then you can remove the hinge in the back and replace it with your new one and reverse the procedure. So if you do that, you'll have these hinges replaced. I've already done one. That's the old one. That's a new one. Now I'm going to do the other side. Okay, so the inside screw up here is out, and the two screws in the back I showed you out. So I'm going to pull it forward and think out to the side. Is that going to work? Might take a couple hands here. Let's see. Yeah. So now it's held on by, if you really want to take it off, you can, but it's held on by that screw, which you'd have to take the top way up to get it, and you just don't need to. So look, this swings out of the way, and now I will be able to remove these two screws. Now, it may be tempting to remove these two, but I don't think you need to. So now I'm going to take these out. Bottom one you can just take out. That guy aside. Now don't take this top one out until you get your hand, this hand behind. You don't want to drop that way down there. This just gets put off to the side. There's the old one. The new one I'll give a little bit of lubricant before I put it back in. It'll be hard to get it on the actual pulley shaft, but we'll see what happens here. Give that a roll or two. Okay, awesome. Back in we go. So, just goes right in from the back. I don't know, you can probably do it this way, but I found it easy to get in from the top like this. It's kind of nice filming with one hand. I almost never get a nice place to put the camera. But I just opened the door, the drawer, I should say, and set the camera on it, and hopefully that's angled enough that you can see. I'm sure it's in the top of the frame, but we'll manage. Okay, so I've got all those screws tightened up. Panel's back on. So now I'm going to lift this up and remove the spacing. You want to be gentle with this. It's a glass top. It's not super heavy, but care should be taken for sure. And this sort of drops back into place. And now you reinstall the screws under here. Hopefully they go in nicely and we're all good. Okay. So we'll put the door back in and ready to go. So what you do to install the door is you slide the whole thing in horizontally and then push down on the door to basically cause this lever to push to go like this. Then you can release this latch and it locks in place. The spring will hold this lever up like that, and this catches so that the door won't fall out on you. So let's see if we can do that. Put it back in at this angle. And now that's in. Door shuts. Hey, look at that. Shuts. So this is how it shut before the hinges. Now it does that, which is what it needs to do. So, good luck with your do-it-yourself projects. If you like my channel, please subscribe.